So we are live.
We're live.
Yep. Hello and welcome everyone to Layer 5's committee meeting. And this time it's Hactoberfest prep, easing into cloud native open source projects. As we all know, Hactoberfest is just around the corner. So today we will discuss how to prepare for Hacktoberfest and to get best out of it. We have a list of speakers who will share their knowledge and guide the process for the Hacktoberfest. We also have Pranav Singh and Kamal Singh as guest contributors who will chime in the Zoom chat to answer your questions. My name is Gaurav Chadha. I'm a software engineer intern and a meshmate at Layer 5. Being an open source first company and community of contributors around the globe, Layer 5 has empowered and transformed thousands of folks into better engineers. We also share a rich history with Hacktoberfest, whether you are a first time contributor or an experienced contributor. You all are welcome to contribute to Hacktoberfest. Layer 5 has a dedicated newcomers onboarding program which involves joining the newcomers call every week on Thursdays and pairing up with a meshmate. So you might be wondering who are meshmates. You will get to know about meshmate later in this meeting. Layer 5 is a dedicated newcomer. Talking about the open source programs, Layer 5 participates in multiple open source programs such as Google Season of Dogs, LFX mentorship programs, Major League Hacking, Google Summer of Code, and She Code Africa. And this time, what's special, we are excited to share that with the recent development of Docker extensions, we have also opened up the scope to contribute to our very own Meshri Docker extension as a part of Hacktoberfest. So with that, let's welcome our first speaker, Sahil Suman.
Hello everyone, I am Sahil and I wanted to let you know that you are not alone. I was also in the same position as you guys were a year ago. When I started contributing to open source project, it was not even the month of Hacktoberfest. So I didn't even had any option to attend a webinars to teach me how to get started with open source. So I searched about how to get started with the open source on YouTube and guess what I found about it. The only thing that I learned was that open source is equal to Google Summer of Code, GSOC. If you are Indian, you would be able to relate to that. So after going through multiple open source project, I ended up in this amazing community of Layer 5. I might sound like I'm bragging about this, but I would say only one thing. Come and join this community and experience it by yourself. So after that, I started engaging and attended the newcomer meeting. During this meeting, I was assigned with my first issues. It was to change a broken URL. You can have a look at this issues by going to this link. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So if you go to this link, you will see that it's a very basic issue. You just have to just change the URL, but that's it. It sounds so simple, right? But it took me around 1 day to solve this simple issue. And you must be wondering how. It was the answer was like it was due to a very large code base. So to ensure that you guys don't face the same issue today, I will share some more of my hacks by walking you through an issue that I solved. Like, I'm going to display
Sahil, you
this
can
issue.
share, sorry to interrupt, you can share your screen if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please take over.
Mm. Sorry. Okay, so I will start by looking at this issue. You can go to this URL and see about it. The issue is pretty simple. You have to just replace, remove the section header from sorting. Like, you, like this was the issue, like the section that was getting sorted, which I have to prevent that from doing that. In order to do that, I did a couple of things that you can follow on any other problem that you face. Like to solve any issues, first you should do simply understand the problem what you are trying to solve. After that, you got to know about the problem. You should check for any similar related problems, like if you like some other member solve the same thing or not. Like you can search for React tables or filtering data. Like you will find something. Like it's not necessary that you will always find something about it, but like in the most cases, like you will find something. Mm-mm. Yeah, like this issue. Mhm. Like you can see that this issue was related to the table that we are solving. Like if you study about this PR, you will learn about how React tables works, and you will learn a lot about React table, and most probably you will get a rough idea about like how you should proceed and all that. After that, a main task comes, like how should I figure out where we have to find this for to do that, we can simply do one thing: use a grep command utility that will help you a lot to find any file in the. Like if you do like that, you will get a clear idea like where this data is coming from. Like you had you have to go to the collection folder, then you have to go to service mess book and service mess pattern, and then go to table data, and you will find about this section header. Like now you will get a point where to work. This way, like you don't have to look through all the code base in order to find something. You can easily do that. Like let me show you that. Collections. Like you can see that we got the data. Like now we just need to solve that problem. To do that, we can simply go to find the related thing about this by searching this data. And yeah, like this data is being used here, so you will get an idea like you have to work on this file in order to fix that issue. That way you will be able to figure out like how to work on that. Now, I would like to hand over to Nikhil. Like he will explain what are the things that you have to do in order to make a good PR. Thank you.
Okay, that was a nice introduction on how to get started from Sahib. So, hello everyone. A lot of you might already know me. If you don't, so for you all, I'm Nikhil. I work as a software engineer at Red Hat. And apart from that, I'm also a maintainer as well as a meshmat at Layer 5. I've been at Layer 5 for around 3+ years now. And in these 3 years, I've gained a lot of different things, a lot of different stuff, a lot of different knowledge, and met a lot of new people whom I've got to learn a lot of different things. So with that, let's start on to move on to the layer5.io site. Like that's our main site, the company site that we have. and it's built using Gatsby. So that brings us to the question: what is a Gatsby basically? So Gatsby is basically a React-based framework, which uses GraphQL beneath it to create static sites. Now you must be wondering why we chose Gatsby. So basically, we wanted a site which could host a lot of data for us, and we don't want the site to get bulky and slow. So Gatsby creates static pages for us, and since it uses GraphQL at its core, so pushing or creating those pages and rendering, fetching those data while building the site becomes easy because GraphQL provides those interface to fetch those data much easy. That's one of the core reasons for choosing Gatsby as the framework for creating our layer 5 site. So that was how what the layer 5 site is and how it is built up. Let's jump into the code to understand if there's an issue open around on the layer 5 site, or if you find an issue which you want to work upon. How will you take that issue and how will you create a fix for it? I'll be share my screen, and here you go. So suppose you are being tasked to add a section in the layer 5 site, which would basically be just a normal regular section having a section like this. That would be having a green background with an image on one side and text on the other. Like looks like a very simple issue. It definitely is, but it has some of the core things which you should follow when you are contributing to the layer side, like which component to use and how to use those components to maintain the code consistency, as well as to get your PR merged without much changes requested from the maintainers. So that being said, I will show you an example or a code how to add a similar section like this. Let's jump into the code. Suppose we want to add a similar section, and this is the section that we want to have. In this section, we will be having a solid green background with text on one side and an image on the other side. Now you might be seeing that I'm using a lot of different components over here, starting from the section, which is a native HTML element, and then moving on to row and call. So row and call are basically components that we use in GATS, like in our code base. Those are built inbuilt code components that renders a div which has some inbuilt styles applied to it to display a responsive flex-based container. So that was the row and call. Then moving on to H2 and H4, which you all might be already know about, to render the header elements. Then the P paragraph tag to render text, and then a button component. So this is not a regular button component that we have or element that we use in HTML. It is a button component that we are a component specific to our code base. It takes in some props, and by props, if you are aware with React, then you might be knowing what props are basically. So it takes in some props through which you can modify how the button should be rendered on the page itself. That is a primary, like there are two basically props for it to render the type of buttons, one being primary, the other one being secondary. Then you could add a title or the text that you want to show in the button, and a URL. Like the button could be a link pointing to a different page, or it could be a simple button. In that case, you won't be rendering adding a URL prop to it. So that was the text part of it. Now moving on to the image side of it. So for the image, Gatsby provides a very intriguing plugin named as Gatsby plugin. So what is Gatsby plugin? Gatsby plugin is a plugin through which you could render images on your site, which would be much more highly processed and smaller in size, but still having effective quality. So when I say processed, basically if you have a PNG or JPEG image, those images generally do are high quality, but they are big high size as well. So, but if you know about image types, then you must have heard about WebP. WebP is a yeah, latest image format which has much smaller size and keeps the image quality as it is. So using Gatsby plugin, you can render any image like any image type to WebP that you need to define, which again brings me to the Gatsby config file, where you could define how you want to render the image. Here we define how the default image format should be, and that we could change basically based on our needs. So that two different types of image plugins. One being a static image, another one being Gatsby image. So Gatsby image is the one which you can use. So now the question brings up which plug component to use to render an image. Now suppose you are getting the image from a GraphQL query that you ran on some other component or on this component itself, but it gives back data which contains an image as well. Now, when you get some data from GraphQL, it fetches the image in a different format, which adds some different components to it to for the Gatsby image to use it and do the processing on top of it. Now, there might be cases where you don't want to be using Gatsby image or where Gatsby image is not effective at all. So, for example, SVGs. In case of SVGs, we generally tend to avoid using Gatsby image because
Pardon my rude interruption. Are you able to enlarge your text a little bit? I think people would benefit if you can.
okay, good. Hopefully that helps. So we have SVG over here, and generally the thing is the styling, the default stylings or the styling provided by Gatsby image plugin for SVGs are not so great. So when you render SVG image using Gatsby image, there are a lot of different complexities, and the images don't get rendered as you want them to. And since SVGs are generally very small size, so we don't mind rendering SVGs as it is. Now that is the Gatsby image component. Now there is another component which is static image component. So static image generally comes into picture when you have suppose a picture, an image stored in some file, and you want to use it directly. Then you could simply fetch the image name as a variable in React and use that path name to and pass it to static image component. Then it will render the image as it is. So this was the code. Now let's test it out if the code works as expected. So for that, we would basically at first, if you're starting off with the code, you should first be installing all the dependencies that you have in the site. That for that we could simply run the command make setup. So this underneath it basically runs the npm install command, which installs all the dependencies that is required for the site to run successfully. Since I have already installed all the dependencies, it will be a very quick for me. But if you're installing it for the first time, it might take some more time for you. So it is happening, and as it's complete, let's check on to the style sheet of this code. So we added a class name to this section, and while this for this we want the section to be full width and have some margin and padding around it to look much better. Now we want to have a color, so the color should be again for colors we have specific brand colors. To know about the brand colors that we have, you could navigate to this page to know about the brand colors and the brand logos at layer 5. Now, so for different purposes, we use different colors, and those colors are defined in the theme style.js file under source/theme/app directory. Now these colors varies from dark theme to light theme based on the use case, based on the theme that you have currently being rendered, the color changes. So for that context, we pass the props and choose the theme as the intermediary prop to select, or the variable to select which theme to take upon, the which object to take upon, and then take the property from it. That was the colors, and similarly we apply the colors for the headings as well as paragraphs. Generally we don't update the font styles because we have the font styles defined at the top level, which is in the app style, which has the different formats for the headers as well as the paragraph elements. Now, since I have the dependencies installed, let's quickly get the site running. To get the site running, we'll basically execute the make site command, which would again internally just run npm start. So this might take a minute or so. This again would be a much longer process for you if you're starting off for the first time with the site. But since I have been using it for a long time now, I have the things already cached up in my directory, so the process might be much more faster for me. So don't get intimidated if it takes much more longer time for you when you start off with the site. Just give it some time, it will work for sure. So this, you might be wondering that what this warnings are. This is basically a race condition. Like what we are happening is we want the path to be a particular order, and we are basically deleting the pages and recreating it while building the site. So while the make site build happens, those page in the process of those page getting deleted and created again, there's a bit of race condition, and these warnings occur while you do a make site. You can see it sometimes, or sometimes you won't, because since it's a race condition, it doesn't happen always. So as the site builds, and it's quick, it was quick. We have the site running. Let's open the demo. Here we have the site built and ready. Now you might be wondering where the section is. So I added the section to the SMP page, SMP project, and it's under project slash service mesh performance. Let's navigate to the SMP page. It will be a bit okay, and here we are. This is the section which we added, a text on the left side with an image on the right. The button is, this is with the URL. You could change the button color, or this is a primary, since it's a call out button, we are using the primary color. If it's again a different button, an action button, we could name it secondary also. So it looks good. Let's check if we are handling responsiveness. We are, looks like we are good. We are basically just hiding the image element in the mobile view, and in the desktop views, everything looks great. So always keep in mind to handle the responsiveness of the code that you are pushing. Like since it's a UI issue, responsiveness is the primary thing which you should look upon when making a change on the site, so that it saves a bit of time for the maintainers as well when they are push or reviewing your PR. So all looks good. I think we are good to make a commit. So you have checked all the code. You don't have any console logs out there, which you should be removing before making a commit. Let's do a control C and exit out of the build environment. Add the changes that you have. Do a get status. Okay, there are the changes. Add the changes. The changes are stashed. Let's do a get commit. Now, while committing, always make sure to use the -s or --, sign off flag. What is a sign off flag? You must have heard about DCO checks in a lot of different open source projects. DCO is basically developer certificate origin. What developer certificate origin is? Suppose you are making a commit today. Okay, you want your commit to be there in the history of that project, right? It should make a mark. But if you don't sign off, how will you know? How will some other person who is coming around like, okay, let's see what that person contributed, or did he actually contribute? How will he or she get to know? He will get to know if you are using sign off and signing off your commits, because when you sign off your commits, basically your email ID that you're using to push the commit gets added to the commit description itself. So that basically keeps track, easy track to add, to identify who added which commit, and also keeps the git history a bit clean and maintained. Let's added the commit flag, the sign off flag, and let's add a -m, which is basically that would be the commit title. Let's say added uh, the mesh mark section. Always remember to add a meaningful title to your commit, so that it's easier to know what the PR is about, not just like added a section. Okay, you added a section, but where did you add a section, or what was the section all about? So now again, correcting myself, where what did I added a section? You should add SMP in front of it. SMP, like basically the pre-commit check. It's running a checklint command, which would basically do a yeslint dot or to do a pre-commit check that everything looks good. If it doesn't, it will throw out an error. Let's see if everything in the code follows the ESLint format that we have in the code base. It's taking some time. Shouldn't be, but let's give it some time. Sometimes it takes much more time to go through the code base, identify, because you might have great amount of changes. Okay, so here we have, it gave us two errors, and unfortunately if you see, the commit didn't went through. So don't get panicked when you see these kind of errors, and like quickly go opening Slack and sharing the image that okay, I'm not able to make a commit. It's just a normal issue. Like what the, let's go through what the issue is about. It basically complains that you're using single quote. Okay, where am I using single quotes? Okay, the line number is 137 again. Okay, then what should be the fix? You should be using double quotes always. What you can do is you could go manually and update the changes, but ESLint provides a very easy way to fix that. That is an hyphen hyphen fix flag. Generally, 99% of the issues which are pointed out by ESLint are fixable using the hyphen hyphen fix flag. But if they don't, you might need to manually interpret. So for this, I would simply be running npm run lint command. This is a lint is a command that we have saved in the package.json file, which would basically be running eslint hyphen fix dot. That would basically fix all the eslint issues that we have in our current code base and fix it and make the changes for you. So let's give it some time to do the changes or the fixes. Okay, we have the fixes now. Now we have the fixes, but do remember that after doing the fixes, the changes are still not staged. It's still unstaged, and you need to stage it for the Git to take it into consideration while making the next commit. So we have added it. All the changes are staged now. Now let's execute the commit command again. Remember to add the sign off flag and press enter. So when you are using this hyphen or when you are committing or using hyphen s flag, you might a lot of times see that an error comes up. The user is not recognized, or you are missing your name or the email ID. So that the solution for that is basically the commands to execute, add your username as well as email ID. And luckily, and thanks to GitHub, it already provides a suggestion or the commands to that, which you should be executing in order to add those username and the emails. So now the commit has been done. Now let's go ahead and create a PR. I have get push origin and your user branch name that you would be using to push it. Now the branch name. For branch name, keep in mind always when you are working on an issue to create a dummy branch while working on it. Never ever use your master branch. Generally, because the master branch gets updated a lot usually than your dummy branch would be. And a lot of times it might happen that while you have a PR open, there might be some changes pushed to the upstream which you don't have synced up. So when you are pulling into master, things might get messed up if you're just starting off with Git, and it might not be so easy to rebase the changes. So okay, I have the branch name added, and let's press enter. This would go ahead and push the changes to GitHub and give me a URL to open a PR for. Okay, I have the PR title, add a quick description. Like, so this is a template that we follow in layer 5, the different repos across layer 5 to add, keep the consistency how your PR description should be. Please follow the templates whenever it's possible. I think it should be possible 99.99% of time, but for 0.0001%, if it's not possible, do provide the best possible description for that particular PR. So I will go ahead and add a particular description for it. Added a section on the SMP page. That should do. You should point to the issue that you are fixing. For now, since it's a demo, I don't have an issue open right now, so I will just leave it out. But for you, you should always be pointing to some of the other issue. Suppose I just give it a random number. If it's a valid issue, it will basically link to that issue. And the purpose of using the fixes keyword is it will pick up that issue, and when the PR is merged, it will automatically close up that issue. Now, let's check this box. You have signed off your commits. Good boy and girl. Let's create the create pull request button. And voila, we have the first pull request ready to being reviewed by the maintainers. Now, this when you create a PR, you will get a build preview being launched on your site. If everything is working fine, you should be seeing a pull preview link on your PR in a couple of minutes, through which the maintainer or anyone coming around and checking out like what the changes are, where the changes are, could simply take a look. If everything looks good, go ahead, click this approve button. Since it's a PR created by me own, the GitHub doesn't allow me to merge my own pull requests. Bad luck. Anyways, I will the maintainer will come around, approve the PR.
Yeah, Nikhil, your voice broke up.
This was
there. Nikhil, your voice broke up. There. Yeah, wait, now I've got the wrong.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Is it
wait,
fine?
now I've got the wrong.
Good. Okay, so that was the way how you should be creating a PR or adding a code piece of section or piece of code into the site by using the appropriate components whenever possible. It should be almost all the times, and maintaining the code consistency along with the stylings. So that's it. You have a PR ready to create the first pull request in Hactoberfest. Thank you. With that, I think you got to learn how you should be creating a PR using the components, and hopefully, I would be seeing a lot of different PRs from a lot of newcomers in the upcoming days. Over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Nikhil. That was a very great. Thank you, Nikhil. That was a very great. Is my voice icon? Is my voice icon?
Yes, yes, it is.
Is it fine now? Is it fine? Oh no.
Yes, yes, it's fine now.
Okay, so with that, let's welcome our next speaker, Harshit Dandria. So over to you, Harshit.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to the layer 5 guys. And in this section, this next 5 minutes, we are going to solve a problem of what to do if you are not getting an issue assigned, the code-based issue not getting. As I know that you guys are very talented and hardworking, and you want issues to work here. But you've seen here that there are very less issues that you can get here. I mean, there are hundreds of students or coders coming here and getting the issue to themselves, and we can have a problem that you're not getting an issue. So what to do now? So let's go on a journey of finding an issue on your own. So yeah, start the project on a locally. Here I'm starting the project in a hosted website, but you can start the project. You should start the project locally and start finding an issue on your own. So yeah, let's check out for the some issues here. And if I start to find issues, actually I'm cheating. I already know where's the issue, but you will also find some. And here I go on a landscape page, and I'm finding that yeah, this Kuma logo is not kind of friendly with the dark theme, right? I mean, this is not looking great. In a homepage, we seen that we are having a white Kuma, but in the here we are having a this Kuma, and which is not suitable. So what I do, I can do, I can just screenshot this and just post it in a issue, create a new issue here, and just create a new issue here. Report an issue to help us improve, and you can post a screenshot here. And if you're not you can use this technique, straightforward technique, honestly, to help the contributors, to help the project to maintain it. Or also you can take this issue, you can ask the maintainers that, so that I can take this issue. Some can get also rejected, so don't get disappointed. I mean, it's a part and parcel. You can this some, I mean, they don't like the idea, they like their humor. uh, you can also find that my first issue that I suggested also got rejected. It was about this landscape, this project page, and it was about this. I mean, it was just crossing the screen. It was a design. It is looking good, but I pointed it out. But yeah, it got rejected. I'm just giving you my experience on this. But yeah, you can uh, post many issues as you can. Also, I'm going to talk about the non-code contribution you can do. You can here welcome the newcomers. Also write the blog. We in a layer 5 we also publish the blogs here. You can go and write some blog after finding the project, after learning the project. So it will also be a great contribution for us. I mean, I'm just talking about what you can do to get involved which you're not getting on issues. And that's my part. Thank you, everyone.
So thank you, Harshit. That was a good demonstration on how people can create issues. With that, let's now welcome our next speaker, Abhishek Kumar.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Abhi, and I work at Layer 5 as a software engineer and maintainer. Like Meshri has a lot to provide to you, but in since we have a limited amount of time, I can only talk about very few of the items that is being actively developed right now. And one of the things that we are, managing and doing active development and we are providing a lot of value in is the ability to configure your infrastructure, configure your applications as well as policies and anything related. So we support, we do these things, all the configurability by the three constructs. We say it as patterns, applications, and filters. So patterns or the designs in the current method, in the current term is the best practices that your services has to follow in order to perform in the most optimized manner. Same way, applications can be any kind of your item that you can provide it to be handled by Meshery. That can be your Helm charts, and that can be your Kubernetes manifest. Even Docker Compose is supported. So we have support, and then there is a filters that may be that can be in the form of network filters, WASM filters, and you're seeing there's some common types of catalog that we present for filters. We have singlet and queue session authorization, and same in the patterns. How you should be, what should be the sensitivity, and how you should perform circuit breaking, retry attempts, mutual TLS, and all. And we are also actively developing some of the, we are going to be supporting eBPF programs and OPF policies very soon. We are actively working on these things. You can have you can create your private designs. You can also view the public items that is being authorized by the layer 5, and that can be ready for you to work on. So there is everything for everyone. Simple, common users, me and you and some operators can share their designs, work on their infrastructure, create designs and all. The teams can create catalogs, share them with their own team under one roof, and advanced users can, of course, create eBPF programs and share OPA policies and manage them. Moving on to the next item, I have, that is mesh map, which is one of the most most golden thing that we are doing right now, and it is about creating operating and visualizing also. So mesh, this screenshot is like a very small portion of the what mesh map has to provide, but yeah. So we support component. We support Kubernetes components. They are generated dynamically. We support all any number of, like, not any number, but to be exact, 10 service meshes and their components. They are generated via adapters, and the same way we have applications and filters. And with that, you can create your own designs, you can configure them, you can deploy them. And if you already have your applications and infrastructure, like you don't want to create by scratch and you just want to configure it, you can do the same thing with after importing your applications or patterns from your system, and represent it visually on the canvas and configure it without seeing the YAML. So we have a motto here behind the mesh map, which is goodbye YAML, because YAMLs can be very painful at instances. So this mesh map is going to be biggest friend or best friends here. So once you have created your designs, operated and you have deployed it on your cluster, you need to visualize it, and we don't like you to leave the mesh map, right? So there is the convenience we provide from your browser itself, that you can exec into the, you can first of all visually see what's inside your cluster. You can have any number. We support multi-cluster, so you can have any number of clusters, and we are here to filter all your resources based on your cluster type, and see what things are happening inside your cluster. So if you want to do some fine grain any later execution or any later processing, you can log into exec sessions from the convenience of your browser, and you can see any number of statistics that a pod or any component has to provide, whether it is how it is performing, whether it is held in healthy state or not, and the rest of the things. Like, that's very short description of mesh map. It has a lot more to do, but since we are in crunch of time, so I'll be ending my thing and moving back to Gaurav.
Thank you, Abhi. So, yeah. Let's now welcome our next speaker, Ashish Tiwari. So, yeah.
Hello, everyone. So I'll be talking mostly about Go things. By the way, my name is Ashish, and I'm a software engineer and maintainer at Layer 5. I'll be talking about anyone who's interested in Go, pay attention for the next 5 minutes. So I'll be talking about the mesh tree architecture. It's hard to condense it down into 2 minutes, but yeah, I will try. We have a lot of components of mesh tree. We have clients. One of the client that is written in Go is the command line mesh-ctl. Anyone who's familiar with Cobra, this is your standard Cobra CLI template, and a bunch of functionality written around it. Other than that, the core mesh server is written in Golang, and so are the adapters. What is the adapter? What is the server? And I'll go over these things very quick. So just to go over it very quick, we have your client, you have your mesh, and you have your adapter. So initially, we started out by supporting just service meshes. Right now, we are extending our capabilities towards MeshOps V2, what we call pattern ops or design. So now we are supporting almost everything cloud native. But basically, there are adapters for each of the service meshes that extend the capabilities of those service meshes. So installation, lifecycle management, applying your SMI configuration, everything that is specific to a service mesh, all that code is written in an individual adapter. And the communication between mesh tree server and that adapter is done using gRPC. So if you are familiar with gRPC, you'll just look at the code and you'll figure out most of the stuff very quick. So we have your client written in Go mesh-ctl. So if you're a starter in Golang, I think this is the place where you should go. And if I go into the issues right now, and if I filter by mesh-ctl, most of the issues that are created related to Golang that are easy to get in are as you can see, Hactoberfest label has already been given to a whole bunch of them. I won't go over each one of them, but some of them are like extend the logs to say something else. So it's basically you are trying to get better logs. You're trying to maybe add a flag, maybe do something, anything that is simple, you'll find over here. And this is the simplest vote related stuff that you can get into. So yeah, I would highly encourage you to get into Meshy It's a very, very simple CLI tool, and any Gopher actually starts with a CLI. It's a very simple thing to get your head around, and because it uses Cobra, so it will be familiar. Other than that, Meshy communicates with what? It communicates with the Meshy server, the core of Meshy server, using REST and GraphQL. And once you get familiar with Meshy and what are the all calls happening, you can dig deeper into what are the handlers that we're supporting. Like what does actually happen when you deploy a design. There's a pattern engine that sits in between. I've actually written a whole doc about it, and we can, that's a separate conversation. But yeah, there is some sophisticated machinery that's going on inside of this thing. No one can intimidate by it. But just to give you a quick overview of how you can browse through the code, this is Meshri. Okay, so we have each of the single adapters. If you will go inside Meshri's org, you can see that traffic mesh, Kuma, app mesh console, all of these things, if you click on any one of them, you'll find the same template, because all of them originate from this adapter library. This adapter library kind of acts like a helper function, so to speak. So like Kubernetes has an API machinery, and I don't know if there's a good example, but there is some core mechanism, and those helper functions and tools are then used by something more abstract. So each of these adapters are like instantiation of all the functions that are defined in the adapter library. Also, some basic gRPC functions are also defined in the adapter library, and which are then overridden by each of the service mesh adapters based upon what functionality they want to provide. So the whole idea of having a microservice architecture, breaking things down into certain different service mesh adapters, was to have extensibility, so that each adapter could be managed separately. Different people who have like Istio domain expertise, they can come here and provide their valuable input inside this Istio adapter. The ones who are like, for example, we have Jared Byers, who's an Nginx, who works at Nginx, and he has been actively maintaining the Nginx adapter. So he has given a lot of valuable input there. So yeah, across the adapters, and that's how we have split out things. And each of the adapter is a gRPC server talking back to the Meshri, which acts as a gRPC client. So here, this is a client server. Meshri is a gRPC client. Meshri adapters are gRPC servers. All of them, these adapters take their core functionality from the adapter library. Other than that, we also have operator. So I won't go dig deep into that, but this kind of logo sums it all. Using gRPC, we are talking to all these adapters. This is Meshri, and we are managing your Kubernetes. And if even you don't have Kubernetes, we can also still provide functionality to you. But if you have a bunch of clusters, we can manage multiple clusters. And this is Meshthings logo. So in each of your clusters, we deploy a bunch of stuff which is managed by an operator. Anyone who's remotely familiar with Kubernetes understands that we have people write Kubernetes operator to basically manage the life cycle of things that make use of Kube API server. So we want to get live data of your cluster, what is happening inside of your cluster. All these things are actually taken care by this little thing that you see, this like mesh thing. It is the heart of Meshly. So if you're interested in informers and how operators are working, you can go and check out the operator source code or Meshsync source code. These are also under the Meshly /Meshly thing. I think if I have one more minute, I'll just quickly go over where to start. Where you can start contributing. So one of the easiest contribution is that we need propagating changes across adapters. Sometimes one thing changes in the adapter library. Let's say a function changes here, and because all of the adapters are actually instantiation of the core adapter library. So maybe one maintainer comes up and he has a bunch of other things to do. So he'll make a change in his Istio adapter. But then, it's kind of a chore to go over all these adapters that we support and propagate that change. So Ruturaj is one of the interns that we have, and he actually started by propagating a single change. The advantage of propagating a change is that you actually get to know about the source code, what the code is actually doing, and the change isn't breaking because you just copy and pasting things. But while copying and pasting, if you're most people would be curious enough to actually find out, okay, this is doing that, and then you can move on to an issue where you can give your own input and so on. And then we have a lot of end-to-end workflows. These end-to-end workflows are running in each of the adapters, and the results of these end-to-end workflows are then reflected back in the compatibility matrix that we have here. There is a lot of work needed over here, so I won't go over in detail. People who are interested in this thing, please join the CI call that happens every other Thursday. I think it happened last Thursday, so it will happen the Thursday after that. It covers a bunch of stuff like GitHub Actions and how to get started with GitHub Actions and what are all the unit tests and integration tests that we support. What are we doing? So basically, a lot of things would be covered there. So it would be a repetition to do that and a time waste. So I would say that please join that CI call. It happens every other Thursday. We'll talk about more about these tests and the adapters. And yeah, I still think I will missed a lot of it. Like I didn't talk about Nighthawk and I didn't talk about the load generators, SMI, okay, there's a whole lot of things, and it can't be covered in 5 minutes. But I just wanted to let you know that you can get started with Golang by these very simple things. Understand the source code. If you have any doubt, ask your doubts in the channel. And yeah, that's it from myself.
Thank you, Ashish. So next up, we have Anita. So, yep, over to you, Anita.
All right, thank you. And I'm a meshmate in the Layer 5 community. If you've joined the newcomers call, then you're lucky you've not seen my face. And stay tuned because we'll be having one again this Thursday, and we'll be walking you through. And so I know we all have questions, those who are new to the community, how to Slack community. We have a really active community that everyone on a project or on a task that you're working on. So do well to jump into the community. And then what happens if you're in the Slack community? Well, let me show you. So you see, everyone is willing to welcome you and share the resources. We also have, and just jump into the community and you see how exciting it is. Like this newcomers guide where you can also walk through. And this guide is also Layer 5 projects. So you might also want to check out the newcomers guide that I've been shared. Or once you jump into the community, read each of them, and then you can now start asking questions. So who do you ask these questions? You can reach out to a meshmate, you can reach out to the general chat. But then who is a meshmate? I said earlier that I was meshmates are delegated members that are here to walk you through your journey in the Layer 5. A particular project or a particular aspect in the community that they're working on. We've already had some of them come to talk about projects. If you have any questions regarding a project in the Layer 5 community, just rush who exactly you want to contact, the questions that you want to, and so what happens after you've reached out to meshmate and you've asked your questions? You might also want to check out, why do we have a community member form? We have so many persons coming in. Recently, we clocked over news. So you can also join this this troop that we sign up. We can get your details and what area you're community, and then we come in to help you. So how do we mean by help? Best profile. So I call this our Hall of Fame because you can see really amazing, really happy, and all these persons have walked through this community and made their pictures on here, and you can earn yourself one of these. This comes with badges alongside. A badge represents spends a lot of time contributing to, and so you to the Layer 5 community. And yourself this badge, check out our meetings or attended any of our meetings before. Do want to subscribe to our go on. We have the Monday weekly call that takes place for, and you want to fix all of the UI, then you should jump. That takes place on Wednesday for Meshry and Savage Mesh interface as well. And then the Thursday bi-weekly call as well place on Thursdays. We occasionally have a community that's for Fridays. And if you're not aware of it, So by the time you're done with all of this and you're already working towards being a member of the Layer 5 community. If you're consistent with your contributions, because that's the only way you can understand what is going on, the discussions that are going on in the community. So where do you? Well, we have a handbook, a community handbook, where you will find understand about Layer 5 community. So this has curated our projects, our community, what goes on in the community, how you can also assume some projects as well. You right here, it's a simplified version. If this has not been mentioned already, we currently have 4 GitHub. Whichever one it is you're contributing to, you're still actively a member of the Layer 5. Out here, you're going to see the different maintainers that represent each of the project contributions. You know where to come, right? On this page, and you can reach out to each of these maintainers. What happens if I want to also explore other projects? We have a list of doing really, really well. Like, I don't know if you checked, every single repository is active, which means whichever one you're on, you're definitely. So what happens if I'm not a developer and I don't here back on our mentorship programs? You're going to see other areas that can get involved, and we also have a writers program, creators, event organizers, or even community managers. You can also read out all of the resources that are available here. You can go on, have a blog here. You can create technical content for the Layer 5 project and all about your experience in the community. Other persons. We have also YouTube content that are already available to help you. But you can also create videos if you are good with that skill. And then let's say you have experience manage our community. Our Slack community is also available. You can message, and it only starts with the first message and onwards you go. Our YouTube videos. Here is a guide to. I say we always share to persons that jump in the community. This gives you like content to each of the project, like Meshry CTL, contribute to Gatsby. I know so many persons in the chat are asking what is Gatsby and how do they how you can also contribute to Meshry UI, how you can contribute to Jekyll. In case so you might also want to watch out on these videos. Said, don't forget to subscribe to our calendar, and we also have going to get most updates on most of this content. Of course, this is streamed live, so you once we are done with this, but on the YouTube, you're going to get a lot of content like drops. It gives you an overview. If you're new to cloud native technologies, you're new, check out that video as well. We have other beginner friendly videos on the YouTube channel that you will find really, really exciting. And continuing with your contributions, in case you don't see an issue already assigned, you can also create an issue. And like we saw earlier from our issue on your own by checking areas that are probably not, then create issues about that. And if you come across an issue, you can also request these issues from the persons that create. Jump in our discussion forums. We have the, aside Slack, we have like discussions going on right here of Slack. Most of the conversations on discussion forum are always very technical. We have so many engineers that are brought up here. So if you have a question regarding any project within the Meshry or and you have so many opinions from all of the maintainers and engineers in the community. And you can also drop it in the Slack. So you get a quick response once you're done with that. So that is all and I hope to see your contribution soon.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for going through the Layer 5 community docs. So next up we have Alexis. Alexis would like to quickly cover the UX designer part.
Oh, sure. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Abakasanga, and I am a UX designer here at Layer 5. And it all started on Twitter when I saw a tweet from Anita saying that they needed volunteers, and then I hopped on, and it's been 2 months. October will make it my 3rd month at Layer 5, so really good times. So yes, nothing really much. It's just straightforward, right? We have the Figma file where all Layer 5's projects are, and you can also find them there as well and also contribute and make impactful changes. And yes, if you join the community, you will not have, you would have view access, first of all, not edit access. Then when we see that you have, commented on a problem, one issue, then we would now grant you that access, and then you can start making contributions. So this is the Figma file. So all the projects are nested here, and then you can find them. And then if you have any questions or you have spotted something, you can always, point it out to us on the Slack channel or on the forum, and then we will take it up from there. And please do well to follow the contribution guidelines, and they are pretty straightforward. So that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. So with that, it was a great presentation by everyone. So let's call this a wrap. And thank you everyone for joining Layer 5 community meeting. And do participate in Hactoberfest with Layer 5 this month. Apply to Layer 5 internship programs, and do give a star to Layer 5 GitHub repos and follow Layer 5 on social media accounts. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you, Gaurav.